Who is projected to be there for the Bulls at 12? I think we go down this in a really cool way. Let's change it up a little bit. Let's talk about if they fall or if they're projected or who's the safety valve, okay?
I love it.
So let's start with if they fall to number 12. Who is the player for you that you're like, they probably won't get there, but if they are, we got to take that guy.
I know you're chomping at the bit for me to say Ace Bailey.
Hard.
I think he probably falls a little bit, but probably not to 12. The guy I think has a chance to slide to 12, who, if he's there, he should probably be the Bulls pick, is Khaman Maluach, the center from Duke.
Yeah.
The Bulls need a center of the future, right? Like, they've got some guards, they've got some wings. They don't really have a long-term option at center. And while they shouldn't necessarily be drafting for fit or for need, he does represent the kind of perfect combination for me of upside, potential, best player available, while also filling a really important need that the Bulls have. Now, we've talked about some issues that I have with not Maluach specifically, but him as a player, his style of player, not being somebody who can space the floor, although he has shown that he can shoot it a little bit. Sure. I don't know that he'll ever be like a real threat out there, but maybe he can make some open ones. But he is a big, long, rim-protecting center who can block some shots, who can catch some lobs. He's not like necessarily dynamic with the ball in his hands in terms of passing, in terms of post-game, but this is the kind of center that can help anchor a defense, that can help deter a ton of shots at the rim. And a team whose core is Giddey, Kobe White, and Modest Buzelis, like that's a team that needs help defensively. So I think Maluach, if he were sliding down the board, even if it's like to 10 or something, the Bulls can trade up. If he's there and the cost isn't too high, or if he falls all the way to 12, that's a guy who I think the Bulls would have to be pretty happy about taking.
Yeah, I would say outside of the surefire guys that we know are going at the top, he's probably the sexiest one with like the most potential and upside, and that's what's most tantalizing about him is his upside. It's like, oh man, you already come in with these tools right here, especially defensively, and as you know, that's probably the hardest thing to teach a rookie coming in is to play that defense correctly. So when you come in and you already have that, and you can just add stuff onto that on top of that, and he's super young, yeah, I understand that. It makes it very sexy. That's very logical because I think it is a possibility that he could.
It's a small chance, non-zero chance.
It's a non-zero chance.
What about you? Who's your guy?
This ain't about logic.
Okay.
For me, sir, absolutely not. If they fall and they come there and you know the name, it's Ace Bailey. That's what it's all about, all right? If he falls, because I'm not even thinking to 12. I'm like, if he just falls out of 3, you go get this dude, all right? You go get this kind of player. This could be a guy who helps change your franchise around. Can you not tell me the excitement you wouldn't have to go to the UC and watch Ace Bailey and Modest Buzelis play together? I would, man, oh my God, the injection that would put into the fan base, and logically so, not just hopefully so, but logically so. You would be able to root for the team like really, really hard. And the weight that he can take off of guys like Josh Giddey, the weight that he can take off of guys like Kobe White, because they can't really double team when you got another guy that can create his own shot. Oh, and by the way, he's 6'10" doing this kind of stuff. Oh, and by the way, that's Modest Buzelis over there also waiting. Dude, yes, get Ace Bailey. If he falls outside of the top 3, go for him, get him. I think it'd be a great decision.
I think that if he ends up anywhere near the Bulls, and he does seem to be sliding, there's some rumors about his workouts and not wanting to go to certain teams, that would just be such a huge talent infusion that, I know people are down on him and not necessarily thinking about him as the top 2 or 3 guy maybe. There's just too much offensive upside there to pass on.
He's 18,
if he's in
by
that
the
area.
way. He's not even 19 yet. He's 18 years old.
So that's the reach. If he ends up sliding there by some miracle, that's who you'd want the Bulls to take. But what about guys that could be projected in that range? We've seen a lot of mock drafts that say a bunch of different names, so there will be options. But who's your guy in that actual 12th range?
Seen many mocks. I guess for me, it would have to be Cedric Coward.
Okay.
Cedric Coward. That's the guy I'm wanting. I haven't wavered in that. I feel the exact same way that I felt from the first time that I saw him to the first time I heard him speak, to the continuation of just my learning about his game and watching how he goes about it and his work ethic. He just answers for me so many questions that the Bulls have, man. He still fits that hole that they have, that they've been looking for since probably AK has gotten here. And that's that toolsy 3-and-D kind of guy with that long, with that big size of 6'6", with that wingspan of 7'2", 2 who can dribble, pass, and shoot. And we know that's what Billy's offense kind of wants to be. And can he shoot? Oh, my God. Like, this is a guy who's 40% from the three-point line. This is a guy who is great off the catch and shoot. This is a guy who also can facilitate. This is a guy with a 38.5-inch vertical at the NBA Combine. So he's also athletic. And that work ethic that he comes with, man, like operating on both sides of the ball. I think his IQ is solid. I think he's got those leadership qualities. Like, I just really think he fits a gigantic size hole that the Bulls have had for over, 5-6 years.
Yeah, I think there's probably 4 players in that range that I think I would be pretty happy with, and Coward is certainly one of them. He's a guy that, like, would fit, right? Like, he's a great shooter. He can defend. He can hopefully do a little bit more with the ball in his hands. There's not a ton of evidence of what he can be against high-level competition just because at Eastern Washington they weren't playing that kind of talent. But this is a guy that was recruited by Duke, was going to commit to Duke, except for now he's going to be probably a lottery pick in the NBA draft. So hard to blame him for wanting to capitalize on that. And certainly someone who I think we both talked to at the Combine. We're really impressed with him. And I think he'd be a great pick for the Bulls at 12. So there was a couple of options. I mentioned 4 guys. I think Noah Essengay. I think Carter Bryant, Colin. Sure. I keep on saying Colin Coward like it's Colin Coward, but Cedric Coward, who you discussed. But the guy I'm going to go with here is Colin Murray-Boyles. I think he is the best defender in this class aside from Cooper Flagg. 6'6", burly, power forward who can guard on the perimeter. He can guard in the post. Really good on the ball. Really good as a defensive quarterback. Somebody that I think can anchor the Bulls defense. We talked about the core of Modest, Kobe, and Giddey. Like, they're going to need help on that end. And I think Colin Murray-Boyles is probably the best equipped to be a defensive quarterback and anchor in that way. And then offensively, like, there are some questions. He's very left-hand dominant. He is not a good shooter. At 6'6", those are not like things you're super excited about. However, I do think he's a very good driver. He's got a great face-up game going to the basket, especially going left. And I think he's a really good passer, not only as like somebody who can like really facilitate in isolation or in pick and roll, but somebody who can make plays out of the short roll, somebody who can keep the ball moving side to side when an advantage is created. So I think he could be a piece that fits within the system, but I also think he's talented enough that maybe he turns into a Draymond Green type of player. Not saying he's going to be as good, because I think Draymond is once in a generation, one of the smartest, most intelligent players that has ever played. But I think he can be a really good defender that is kind of like that quarterback who's not really like a scorer, but can help kind of keep the offense moving, and I think they could really use that. So Murray-Boyles is definitely someone I would be happy with if he fell to 12.
I think you're absolutely right about his face-up game. I think that's the one thing I truly like about his offense is his face. It reminds me of Julius Randle, just how he moves with that face-up game that he has, and just using the advantages that he has, because he doesn't have a ton. He's not the hugest guy out there, but the fact that he can still impact you offensively just by using his footwork and getting to the bucket and knowing how to finish when he gets there, but also, as you mentioned, defensively, man, like just being that kind of impact guy. Again, coming in as a rookie and being an impact guy on defense shows you there's a special skill there for him. And that's honestly why I had him at my safety valve. I have Colin Murray-Boyles there for that reason, because I think it's a great chance that he'll be there at 12 or at even 13 or something like that. So I think that's a very cool and safe pick for them to have. It's somebody you can definitely build around. Obviously, he has things that he has to work on, the shooting and, things of that nature. But answering a question defensively for a team that doesn't have any answers at that right now, especially at that front court position outside of Modest Wazelis being that help defender, I think he's a very great safety pick for the Bulls that they can grow into something if he, gets the right coaching and tutelage.
Yeah, Murray-Boyles is interesting because he could either go like top 6, top 7, or he could. There's worlds where you could see him sliding back. So
I really can, yeah.
I think there's a chance he could be taken ahead, but I also think he could be there, and I would certainly be happy with that pick. But let's say he's gone. Let's say the other wings that I mentioned are gone, and there's just, you're kind of deciding what do you want to do. For me, that sort of safety valve pick that you mentioned is going to be Thomas Sorbert from Georgetown. I'm not super high on him. I'm trying to buy in because I think he has a lot of attributes that are good. Like, for example, he's an incredible defensive player. His analytics numbers are really eye-popping. He's like a draft analyst favorite type of player just because of the stats that he puts up, the steals, the blocks, the rim protection, the defensive field goal, the on-off splits are all really favorable to him because he's a very good defensive player. He has had an injury He had a surgery on his foot. He's been out since mid-February, so he hasn't really been working out for teams. Otherwise, I think his stock might be improving even more. But I do think he'll be there at 12 because offensively, I'm just not really sold on what he is as a player. Like, he's kind of a post-oriented big. That's not going to be there for him. He's a little bit undersized to play center. For one, and for two, like, that's just not really something that teams are doing anymore, is like wasting a ton of possessions posting up. So I do think he's a high field player. He's a good passer. He's got good touch, but he's not a shooter right now. He wasn't a good free throw shooter. He's not a good 3-point shooter. He's also not an above the rim athlete. So when you think about different center archetypes, you either want the like rim roller, rim protector, or the floor spacer, or the kind of do it all, keep the ball moving, can score, kind of like in the Vooch mold. And I'm not sure he really falls into any of those categories. So it's hard for me to imagine how exactly he succeeds. But I do think that his feel and his defensive presence are good enough that he will find a way.
Yeah, that's the other player I have listed on here as my safety valve, is a guy like Thomas Sorber. Will, I love a 7-footer or a 6'11" guy who knows that they're tall and plays that way. And being a Georgetown kind of center, he knows how to play that way for sure. So I like that aspect of it. It's going to be a high field goal percentage kind of guy. But as you mentioned, nothing on the outside. That won't happen for him. But I do think he
maybe
can
down
have
the road, but yeah.
I think he can have a long career.
Yeah.
Just big men like that with those skills have long careers in the NBA, man. We just saw our guys just signed a 3-year deal with the Rockets again. Aquaman, as I like to call him.
Adams.
So, yeah, man, it could be a place for him in the NBA.
Al Horford's the kind of player that I think he can kind of turn into, who's been in the league for 20 years.
Correct, exactly. So he would be a good safety valve in the league. There's always room for guys who can get you 10 points and 10 rebounds and are that tall. So we'll see how it goes in the draft. We are less than a week away from it, y'all, and we can't wait to see what happens.